pretty much get your money in order, set up that emergency fund, just figure out your finances.
Yes.
You also mentioned something that really caught my attention at the top of the conversation, where you said it's not all doom and gloom. As a matter of fact, some opportunities have come out of this.
Yes.
There's people who are doing nothing, and then all of a sudden now you can manufacture masks.
Yes.
There's health workers out there who are out of jobs. Now the government is looking for them.
Yes.
So my question is, how is it possible to remain productive and also still have some income coming in? How can you achieve that during this time? Where do the opportunities lie, and how can you tap into those?
Well, the other day I saw a meme that meeting could have been an email.
Right.
And sometimes
during this time I found out how many meetings could have been emailed.
are quite unnecessary.
Right.
I have a friend of mine, she's approaching 60, and she's been having those old phones, and for the longest time I've been telling her, buy a smartphone for convenience.
Right.
The other day she calls me, she tells me she has learned how to use Zoom on phone, because now she has to get in touch with her staff, and she realized that she actually doesn't need all that manpower. You know. And for me, I feel like embracing technology right now will save us a lot of money. And I feel that's the avenue that we need to take up. So if today you look at the usage, since guys are working from home, the usage of internet on business transactions, on meetings, on trainings that are happening there, I feel it's a new avenue that we need to take that will cost businesses much less than having many employees. However, on the flip, some people might lose their jobs because their jobs might just become redundant. But I also feel, in terms of e-commerce, where now there will be a lot of sales online. I don't think that we are going to go back. I feel like if you... It's
now a trend.
Yes, it's a trend.
This is where we're headed.
Exactly. And soon, and I feel like that's your biggest threat as mainstream media.
Right.
That social media right now, first of all, is cheaper to advertise. And guys, actually, anybody can open an account and promote themselves. And I feel like if you are in business and you're selling merchandise and you're doing a lot of service, just use online. I feel it's a big opportunity for you to set yourselves up and really invest in it. So that's it. And of course, now in the medical sector, we've realized that we've been importing everything. And now our local companies now are taking up, you know, and I have a feeling we should, the moment this thing is over, we should recover and now start promoting Kenya by Kenyan. So
even our own home industries are actually benefiting from this right now. They're getting the money they need to grow themselves, to produce what needs to be produced.
And I don't think we should go out any longer. I mean, after this, we should promote. I mean, we should be the first guys to get to Mombasa hotels and all over and promote our own tourism. Because I feel from here, it's a trend that is showing us that we have this, we can be able to go through this and we can improve our economy. Because remember, the president directed that the agricultural activities should continue so that the supply is on. And you see, that's a very unique opportunity that is not in the modern countries. You understand? Most of them import their food. Here we are saying, from Kiambu, continue bringing your grains, continue bringing your... So I feel like it's a unique opportunity that most countries don't have. And if we tap into it, I believe, and Kenyans, we are known for recovering fast. So I feel like we can do this.
So we're going to take a very quick break, but don't go anywhere, because we'll be back with so much more right here on Eye on the Money. However, remember, you can be a part of the conversation by sending in your feedback on our social media pages at Metropol TVK on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll be right back.
There's no news story that is in touch with the needs of the audience like a business news story. Therefore, as a business anchor, it is in my mandate to understand the source of the story and, most importantly, consequences of the story. Which means before I take that script into my hands, I have to be close to the story. I have to experience the story. Or simply, I have to live the story. It is Friday, the 5th of July, 2019. It's 1 p.m., so welcome to Metropol News at 1. My name is Nina Siobhan.
Welcome back to Eye on the Money, and today on the show we're discussing how you can financially weather these difficult COVID-19 times, not just financially, how to physically weather them, mentally weather them, and also come out of it with your finances in check. With me in studio to help us discuss all this is none other than Amos Ngahu, who's a financial coach at Money Clinic. Now, Amos, before we went on break, you did an amazing job explaining to us what to expect, how to prepare for it, you know, what sort of conversations we need to be having with ourselves right now in terms of our money. And you've really helped us understand that it's not the end of the world. There's actually ways around this. However, to deviate slightly and not make it fully about your finances, because in this period, people are going through it, not just for finances. In fact, we were having this conversation before and just said the hardest hit people are the sanguines. There's people out there, Amos, who on a regular basis are just used to getting up, getting dressed, showing up to work, and the actual thought of shifting your mindset from now you don't have to do that. You actually have to like wake up. You can wake up in your shorts, sit down and get to work. It's really difficult to switch from that. And because of that, productivity has been affected. We're seeing people who before, when things were normal, were so productive. You could see results. Right now, people are really, really struggling. And not just with work productivity, with mental health, the blockage. What would you say, like what do people need to think about during this time in terms of mental health, in terms of mindset, in terms of getting tasks done, even with this confinement, even with the shift in the way everything is being done right now?
Well, beginning of this century,
yeah?
Yes, beginning of this century. We're talking about 20 years ago. The challenge really then was access to information.
Right.
You know, by the time you had an email, I mean, it was a big deal. And you'd go to a site and pay a lot of money. So the challenge then was there. Today, anything I want, I can access through my phone. So the information is not a problem anymore. The challenge of today, and it's one of the biggest challenges that people are facing, is the ability to unlearn and relearn. You understand? And learn what you have always known. If you are unable to do that, what happens is it can lead you to live a life that is not real. You're living still at a life. Let me give you an example. We conducted a training somewhere, and someone was telling us that this particular person worked in one of the disciplined forces, and they rose to a certain rank. And back then, they had a huge house here in Nairobi, and they had a landline. And back home, the guy had constructed a house, and he was the only one in the village who had a landline. So every day he used to get 2 newspapers. Then it was Taifa Leo and the Times, Kenya Times. Every day. Now, when he retired, the same day, they put a truck and everything was sent to Shags. Remember, he's gotten a pension. You know, the government pension then was not much. So the guy starts there and he continues the same lifestyle. 2 newspapers per day. And he would drive to the shopping center and come back.
This is what he was used to.
Yes. And he had a driver. But then he realized the driver needs to go, so he was driving his own. It was these 504s, the old ones. Yes, and he would go there, and it was a guzzler. Then he realized he can't sustain the car, and he's still ordering his 2 newspapers. and he still has his landline. He continued the same lifestyle, assuming. Do you know the guy died of depression? And he could no longer even ride his bicycle because he never unlearned and understood that yes. And for us, this is a time that we need to actually say, you know what, I have to unlearn what I've been doing. These are different times. For the sake of my health and the health of others, I need to observe social distancing. So what are some of the things that you can be able to do? Personally, I'm affected. I'm a sanguine. I told you I just discovered there's something called sunset on my balcony. But you've had to change because those were the times I used to work out. So in the morning, I've formed the habit of doing a run. Now this run gives you, I mean, I never used to, yes, I never used to understand what Eliud used to say, Kipchoge, and we should make this a running nation, but it opens your mind, you're able to think, and you run faster. Now that's why I understood why he used to say that sometimes he can get a very painful, let's say a sprain or something, but he puts the pain at the back of his head.
Right.
You understand? And this is the time that we need to learn that. What is necessary, we think about it now. We live a day at a time. If you can actually wake up today and say, I'm going to start with a run, I'm going to do a certain number of push-ups, I'm going to read my word, I'm going to spend time with my children, just a simple one.
Productivity,
but a day at a time.
Yeah.
Even if you're at a place whereby you've been told no leaving and you're not working for the next 21 days, it takes 21 days to form a habit. Yeah, so I believe it's a time that you need to unlearn what you've been doing and try something new. And be nice to yourself, you know. If you have never ran and you've ran 2 kilometers, I mean, celebrate, you know. Learn to take in small victories because that way it will encourage you to do further. The first time I did 3 kilometers, yes. Now I'm able to do 11.
Oh, wow.
You know, and it starts with you encouraging yourself and having that time because it brings a lot of creativity. Yes. So we have to unlearn.
Finally, you've really given so many, let me just talk about myself. You've given me so much hope. I was really dealing with so much anxiety. I had so many questions. I really was very stressed. And I was hardest hit, I would like to think, because all this is happening and I'm so far away from home. I'm so glad I hosted you today. Now, before you leave, I have to ask you, like you said, there's going to come a point in time when this is all going to be over. There's going to come a point in time, it could even be today, when finally China, US, Spain, Italy, somebody, even Kenya, says finally here's the vaccine. And the world order is going to be restored. For those people who during this time are going to take a hit, because there are going to be people who are going to take a hit. And I'm talking about a hard hit, a hit where you pretty much may have to like pick up the scripts and rebuild. So that morning when we finally are allowed to get out of our houses, you're allowed to go back to your work premises, you're allowed to start over, you don't know what to do, what advice would you give for when that day comes? What should happen?
Well, the other day we were having a discussion, and especially this generation of parents. And if you have a young, especially the first children, the firstborns, we are really spoiling them. They fall down, you're quick to lift them up. And we were discussing that we have not been teaching, or parents, our days we were taught, we've not been taught how to take a loss. You always helped to come up, if for instance your parents realize you're not doing well, they throw money your way if they have, even the little that they have. I feel like it's a huge lesson that we need to teach the young generation, that if you can take the wins, you can take the losses. And the moment you learn to accept where you are and say, as Ingrid, yes, we've been hit hard. We found ourselves now in more debt. You understand? Because at that particular time, we were depleted, we depleted our savings, and now we are surviving on loans. It is important, first of all, to understand that we are hit. How did it hit us? Can we recover from here? Because remember, at the end of the day, it's for you to be content with your money, whether in plenty or in lack. Because remember, it's actually Socrates who says that contentment is the wealth of nature. If you can be able to be content and don't go all the way, because let me tell you something, if today your children see that you're actually splitting, let's say you have the last 200 bob, and they're of age, if they're above 8, they can understand. You tell them, this is what we have. Can we buy unga and buy greens from the local garden, the other person who has a kitchen garden? Let them see you make those decisions.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who you're raising.
That's true.
Tomorrow they might go through the same challenge. But if you don't share them and you don't show them that you can take a beating and you can take a loss, to recover for them will be very difficult. They'll live in denial. But if you can expose yourself and see this is where we are, then let's move on. And I'll encourage people, especially business people, if you're in a business that right now it's on a lockdown,
right.
per se, if you can use the word lockdown, it's time that you started reevaluating your business strategy.
It really should be versatile, yeah?
Yeah, because I remember there was a time I was so broke, I didn't have money. Nothing was going through. I had to sit down and ask myself, what are the things that I do naturally that don't require capital, that can be able to give me even 500 bob? And trust you me, Dr. Miles Monroe, the late, God bless his soul, that guy is one of the guys that said something that I realized that I've just been operating in mediocrity. Because he said between 500 and 700 abilities that a human being has, all with the ability to give them money. But people die without even utilizing 10%. So can you try and see what are some of the things you can do naturally that can be able to give you even 500 bob? Trust you me, I came up with 9. And within a very short time of about 3 months, I was out of debt because I was able to service the same. So this is a time to think. You must be able to think at this particular time. Even when you're spend time, like we're doing the run, like we're talking about, take time and think about it. Because this will be over.
Yeah,
yes,
it will.
Yes, and we will not be successful. Most people who've been successful, they will not tell you, I inherited and here I am.
Yeah.
They don't have a beautiful story.
Yeah.
But when I tell you I have lost everything twice in my life.
And rebuilt from
and
the ground
rebuilt.
up.
It's a beautiful story.
It's motivation, it's an inspirational
Exactly.
story.
And that's why when someone tells you, show me your achievements, okay, I'm impressed. But show me your wounds, and I'm inspired.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Amos. We've come to the end of the show, and because, like I said, I had major anxiety and I've been struggling with this whole coronavirus thing, I didn't prepare a financial tip, because what do I know about keeping your money during this coronavirus times? So Amos, do you mind, before you leave, do you mind giving my guests just 2 lines, one real quick tip on what they need to think about during this coronavirus times? Take home.
Well, I can say that just like this COVID-19 is really scaring people, and purely because it's uncertain. We were not prepared for it. We didn't know anything about it. But I have a feeling that the more we know about it, the more we are armed. We didn't know it was airborne. Now we know it's airborne. We can do masks. This is a time when we relate it to finances. The more you know, the more you educate yourself about finances and how what works, the more you'll be quick